Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asks the questions on Blakey's Bootroom. Will always be blue.
Hello, welcome to Blakey's Bootroom. I'm Gareth Rogers, with me Nathan Blake, Steve Tucker. We're talking Cardiff City as ever. Plenty on the agenda. No more so than Captain David Marshall getting his marching orders on Saturday at Rotherham. Steve, you were there. First of all, let's talk about what it was like as it happened.
Well, first of all, we've got to reintroduce ourselves.
Indeed. Let's do that first.
Older viewers may remember us from a show called The Bootroom several weeks ago. No, it's good to be back. I was up at the New York Stadium.
Indeed.
Do you know why it's called the New York Stadium?
Go on, do that first, please.
We'll start the show with a bit of trivia.
Yeah.
You know those fire hydrants in New York? Mm-hmm. You know, the famous ones you always see in the
movies.
movies.
In the films,
Where the stadium is now, the factory that made those, that exported them to New York, used to sit.
So
right there.
These delighted viewers have just waited 20 minutes for that piece of information.
So
I'm
they
sure
use a lot of,
they'll be thanking you.
There's a lot of imagination
I don't
when
want to
they
be
chose
bad.
the name.
That's as interesting as it's going to get. No.
So let's talk about Marshall. I mean,
yes. Okay. All right.
You were there. It happened.
You can get this with Dome.
I know. You want to get straight into it.
I always say Dome's too late. Sorry, guys. Sorry. We're a bit.
Let's talk about Marshall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was. I mean, if what I've written today, I've actually slightly backtracked a bit. I mean,
let's go for what was it like at the time.
Well, it was really hard. At the time, you felt very much let down by Marshall's actions. I think. The fact was, Matt Derbyshire, I mean, that was a foul. He grabbed hold of Marshall, but it almost spun him around, really. Saying that was a foul. Marshall shouldn't have reacted the way he did. Saying that, it was the most innocuous little kick. It was like
this is the thing. I mean,
Bruce Forsyth step.
It's now Monday lunch, so we've all had the benefit of the replays. We've all seen it again.
Well, the benefit of being in a pub for the past 48 hours.
But at the time, it's fair to say, isn't it? I mean, everyone thought we're an idiot, we're a clown.
Yeah, I mean, even with hindsight now, you can't really get back from that. He shouldn't have done it. It was interesting to hear what Blakey had to say in his column as an ex-professional, and you get it in all walks of life. You do get that moment when someone does something and you react. Your brain kind of switches off. It was one of those. It was an innocuous kick. Derbyshire wasn't hurt. I don't even know if he made contact, but the intent was there, so the referee really had no option but to send him off. Completely changed the game, obviously. Having said that, the resulting penalty, which the guy who converted, I'm not even going to attempt his name, it was like the worst hand in Scrabble you've ever seen in your life. It was like about 5 Ds now.
That line's around in Steve's excellent match report if you wish to look at it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen my excellent match report, check it out and throw us some money. It shouldn't have been a penalty though, should it? I think a lot of people have agreed on that now. The original foul was by Derbyshire. And I think when you look at the replay, I didn't notice it at the time, you look at the replay, you can see Marshall pointing the official to the line. So I'm thinking that the linesman actually flagged for the original pull on Marshall. The referee saying he didn't see it, which really isn't good enough in any shape or form. Really should have been free kick to Cardiff, yellow card for Derbyshire, because it was totally intended and trying to wind someone up. And then inevitably a red card for Marshall, but you begin again with a free kick for Cardiff. So Cardiff were doubly punished there, and naturally completely altered the complexion of the game.
So Blakey, for anyone who hasn't had the benefit of reading your column, just have your views.
Surely no one out there.
Well, same thing. I just thought I was on Call Rob the weekend, and there was a lot of a lot of phone calls towards Marshall and his stupidity, but
There was a lot of emotion, wasn't it, at the time?
yeah, I think at the moment, listen, we all know it was a stupid incident. We all know it was a stupid thing for him to do. I think he's gained you more points than he's lost you over the years, over the seasons. I know you take each game as it comes and you're only as good as your last game. People will chuck those sorts of things at you. But at the end of the day, like I said, the Tucks, you have moments of madness in everyday life and every walk of life. There are people in work today, right now, 20 minutes ago, have done something really stupid.
Not
and
in this
thinking,
office, surely.
oh, why have I just done that? You know what I mean? That could cost me my job, that could whatever. But
especially on the pressure of a football game.
It's just day to day, and as a club, as a team, as a manager, as a squad, you have to absorb these things throughout the season. And yes, it's stupid.
Well, you've done it.
You can't avoid it.
Looking at pictures yesterday of your famous incident with Gary Pallister. Same sort of thing.
Oh, thanks for that.
Same sort of thing.
Yeah, it was, and it was a stupid. It was a stupid thing for me to do. It got to a situation where he was having a constant pop at my strike partner, who was Super John. John's a smaller guy. Me and Pallister, I decided to get involved and say, kind of, i.e. like Keane with Vieira, and he said he's having a pop. Have a pop with someone who can, handle his own. And then, it was a silly incident. I've admittedly, fouled him. He's tried to knee me in the head, which a lot of people have missed. And then I just got up and reacted, like for the knee that he's thrown. And you miss the rest of the game. You get banned for 3 games. It's the biggest game of the season, and you're out of it. You could have gone on and won it. It's just a stupid red mist thing, and it's I suppose it's like passion, emotion. The win to beat your rival. All sorts go through your mind. Me personally, for Marsh, I would have thought, it was just he probably frantic to get on with the game, try and get the win. Someone's given him a little. Do you know what I mean?
As he's trying to, he had hold of him for 5 seconds.
We know, but it
seems incredible.
At that point, at the point of, I don't understand how there was no booking for the other.
Well,
lad.
Indeed, I think that's
because
the whole
referee. Well, according to Russell Slade afterwards, he spoke a quiet word with the referee or whatever you want to say, and the referee told him he hadn't seen.
It's impossible.
I mean, which is weird. It was only a split second later. Was the
how
kick.
did you see the kick? Yeah.
What was he?
And the Paul was far more.
It was bad officiating.
That's what it was.
Particularly if the linesman, it's supposed to be all this communication between people.
Well, that's what the next point was going to be. He should have gone and spoken to the linesman at least.
If Marshall's saying, look, go and speak to your linesman, he should at least do the thing of going over, even if it's not going to stop him getting sent off. At least he's going to say, look, there was a foul before the kick.
But what about Derbyshire? Where do you stand on what Derbyshire has done?
Clever play as a striker.
You think he's done a job?
It's the same as you're going on about Costa. It's clever play. I've seen Charlie Hartfield.
Is it not cheating? Is it not cheating?
No, don't be so stupid.
No.
I mean,
it is cheating. It's a foul, right? That's cheating. That's a foul.
This is experienced.
I don't care if it's clever.
Listen, don't use that word so randomly. Cheating, to call someone a cheat. In sport.
It's a foul.
No. Listen what I'm saying, mate. You can't throw that word out there at sportsmen. Blasé. Is that cheating? By whom? By Derbyshire?
Well, he's committed a foul.
It's fouling cheating.
I can understand.
Fouling cheating.
I can understand. Like we go in for a ball.
Let's just let's just get it sorted.
We've only been here 5 minutes.
No, let's get it sorted.
Okay.
Is fouling cheating? Is pulling a shirt cheating? It's
pulling a shirt.
So that's cheating then. So fouling is cheating.
No, if we go in for a tackle, I go for the ball accidentally, or I trip you.
You can't have it both ways. Is a foul. So if a kid's going through and someone takes him out, knowing that he's probably going to lose the game because this lad is purposely a professional foul is called. Do you say that? Well,
professional foul is another way of saying cheating.
Let's see if a professional foul is another way of saying cheating.
Well, if someone's through on goal and you come up behind them and just tap their ankle and bring them down.
We'll have to agree to disagree, Tux, because I don't agree.
Well, what about Derbyshire's motives?
And I don't like the word cheat being bandied about. That is a strong word in sport.
Let's talk about Derbyshire's motives then. What was Derbyshire trying to do?
Just trying to slow him down, probably.
So he wasn't trying to...
not wind him up.
The result is 1-1. He's probably thinking they're going to have a counter-attack on us.
Okay.
and I'll just try and slow him down,
So
wind him up, whatever.
So the ref should at that point then have blown the whistle, yellow card.
He should have called them both over and said either cut it out, it's ridiculous, or boom, boom, yellow card, calm down, fellas. Free kick for the tug.
Yellow card for Marshall as well?
Silly card for... Well, by rights, by the letter of the law, Marshall's got to go in.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disputing.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Although, I say nobody's disputing. We've had a few people saying, Marco's there saying, why don't Cardiff appeal? Mike Jenkins says the same thing. In my view, Marshall, the incident, the club must appeal. I mean, it's difficult to see where or on what grounds they could appeal, isn't it?
Well, it is. It's difficult. Once he's kicked, even though it's probably thinking, people probably saying appeal because it was so innocuous, it was so ridiculous, really. And you've got the referee saying he didn't see the original foul. So they're probably thinking, one couple with the other, we probably might be able to get away with that. But for me,
what frustrated me when I watched the Channel 5 show and then match the day after each other yesterday morning was seeing Costa throw Koscielny to the floor.
Wow, the chest.
Whatever. Launch him to the floor for a similar sort of thing. And Marshall, as Marshall turns around to Derbyshire, you can see in his eyes the red mist goes. Marshall's instinct is probably to do something like that.
Yeah.
And Fairbury Marshall stops
Holds
himself.
back a bit.
He does, doesn't he? He stops himself from doing that.
Yeah. But I think the biggest loss is Marshall for 3 games.
The point, one thing you talk about in your column, which is interesting, is as soon as that happened, people started to question Marshall's temper. You're obviously looking back to the back end of last season, a similar sort of head-to-head thing at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
And obviously with what happened in the summer with West Brom and the move falling through apparently. I mean, but I was reading what you wrote today, and you're not having any of that his mind's elsewhere, or he's...
I don't think it is. Like I said, I think he could have... I don't think he would have had to manufacture a move, to be honest with you. I think the club were quite open, saying, like, we want X amount for him. Do you know what I mean? So I think that if he was so desperate for a move, I think you're just taking a transfer request. It's over. Do you know what I mean? It's done. The club are willing to sell you. You put in a transfer request. It's over. But you know what I mean? So I don't think he hasn't tried to manufacture anything. He's been a brilliant servant for the club, and he's 100% committed. I think
so
where he's. I've always thought, and me and you've had this conversation. If you remember, like 2-3 years ago, I've always thought Marshall at times can be erratic. He's got that flip switch in him. I've always thought it.
I mean, it's weird you should
I've seen him freak a couple of times.
Anthony Gerrard is a famous one, wasn't
he? But yeah, I've seen him freak a couple of times for what I thought, that wasn't really...
It's weird, because always his managers have always said he's I think it was Malky was the big one. He brings a lot of calmness to the... This is my Malky, he brings a lot of calmness to the back foot. He exudes calmness, but maybe he's got that in his...
I think he's got that switch.
Twice at Nottingham Forest, last season, the last day of the season, and that one... That was a massive game, that one with Anthony Gerrard, when they've just had to come together.
But what happens is, it because of the speculation throughout the summer with West Brom and what have you, and him moving, him not moving, I think what it does then is opens up, dialogue, whether or not his mindset is right, whether he wanted to leave, whether he was held back. But
the big debate with Marshall...
Does it raise questions about his captaincy?
Well, this is the one. I mean, Anthony's come in and brought up that point. Bob in Cumbra's come in at that point. Bob asks even, if not Marshall, then who? I mean, this captaincy thing's been hanging over Marshall for a long time, basically from the day he was given the captaincy.
Well, no one's been totally pleased with the goalkeeper as captain. That's a debate that we've had quite a few times on here and all that.
You say that, but Dino's off.
I mean, he did all right, but I mean, he didn't do too bad. But I mean, but also, I mean, if you're talking about this switch or this temperament, and it's happened like now in, I think it's 6 or 2, different seasons, but over 6 or 7 games or whatever it is that he's played. Is it time to, to think about? I mean, obviously Sean Morrison was given it while he was suspended at the time. He took the armband when Marshall went off yesterday. Does Slade kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Does he say? We'll relieve him of the captaincy for the moment?
I think that would be harsh punishment for me. I know Bob and others have said you should, or suggesting it. I think that would be a harsh punishment for me, because I think I'm a great believer in giving people an opportunity to redeem themselves. You know what I mean? And I think he'll, like I've said in the car, I think he'll come back and probably pull out the way it goes in football. He'll probably pull out a few 3-point winning saves, and all will be forgotten, and you will move on. I think the disappointment is for most people is that it was the bottom of the league club, and let's be fair, we shouldn't be going there and worrying too much about, listen, it's 11v11 and anything can happen on any given day. But let's remember, like, the psychology of this. Rotherham, bottom of the league, they're going nowhere. They're like a piece of driftwood. Do you know what I mean? They are struggling.
Didn't they have the worst record in all 4 divisions?
Right, so all you do as the bigger club, the championship, the Cardiff City club, you say to your front line and your attacking midfielders, go out there and put it on them. Press them high, force them into mistakes. The crowd, instead of turning in 15 minutes, will now be down to turning in 5. Get the crowd against them. Get your boys behind you, because your away support's always fantastic.
Yep.
Boom. Put it on them quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't give them chance to get into any sort of rhythm or anything. And if throughout the game they get a 10-minute spell, spoil the game. Stop it.
Yep.
Foul, little cheating fouls, my man calls it, but I call it little professional fouls here and there.
Gamesmanship.
Just slow the whole thing down. Don't let them get into it.
Yeah.
Get any sort of momentum, any sort of head of steam. 45 minutes, come in, bang, done a job, back out, same thing. Put it on them early doors. Yeah. Get the first 15 minutes, get them under pressure, under the cosh.
That didn't happen.
That's exactly what didn't happen.
That didn't happen. I mean, let's
exactly
not.
what didn't happen.
Obviously, the Marshall thing is dominating it, but let's not forget that was 2 minutes from half time. There's been a whole half of them 11-11. And what Blakey's suggesting, that Cardiff didn't do that. No. Rotherham were on the front foot.
I know, and that's why I couldn't understand. I know, and that's why I was thinking myself, why are we going to Rotherham and letting them dominate possession on us in the first half? And then, of course, it was a mad 5 minutes at the end, which kind of made you forget about the first 40 minutes.
This is interesting. I think it's something we should talk about here, because is this whole Marshall thing just masking a kind of like what wasn't... Well, it was weird because they weren't that great. And then what happened with the Marshall thing was you couldn't help but think then in the second half, wow, look at... Because obviously Rotherham were pushing on with a numerical advantage, looking for the winner then after cover. It kind of turned into like a Braveheart showing because of what had happened to Marshall. You were saying, wow, and of course near the end they did finally concede under terrible circumstances. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole thing is masking the fact that for the opening 42 minutes or whatever it was, Rotherham were the better side. Rotherham were the dominant side.
I would expect, even with 10 men, for us to have a good 40% possession second half. And really, Rotherham will probably have, a good 10 minutes here and there. But like I said, 15 minutes here and there. Like I said, you try and, break up that rhythm, spoil it, don't let them gain any sort of momentum. Don't let the crowd get up and drums banging and get them onto you. So it's like, charge of the light brigade. It's managing the game, I suppose. And I think these days people go down to 10 and
then you bring in
it is just as difficult.
Strategy.
Then you bring in your counter attack.
You've got Pace, you've got Amiobi, you've got Fabio, you've got Noon.
Right. Then you bring in your counter attack. You play one man, 4-4, 2 banks of 4 and 1 up front. Or 3 and flood the midfield and 1 up front. But whatever, I still think Cardiff with 10 men should have the ability and the nous to be able to go to Rotherham. Even if they started with 10 men, I would say they should be in Rotherham's position. No disrespect to them, but when your confidence is low and on the floor, do you know what I mean? Any mistake is triple highlighted by your fans, and there's no way Rotherham would be playing the same now as if they were like 10th in the league.
Yeah,
as simple as that. And you can't afford to let them gain any sort of confidence throughout the
worrying thing is they looked the more confident side in that opening 42 minutes.
This is off the back of everyone going crazy with the the unbeaten run and then the one loss which came against a decent team.
On a night when Cardiff did dominate possession, did you know, look quick.
And lost against Hull, but beat another good team in Wolves. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, well, they've got it.
Yeah.
Is the problem really, you know, is the problem Marshall? Is the problem we've let them off the hook then? For me, that's what I felt. So we let Rotherham off the hook.
I'm pretty sure that having said that if the Marshall thing hadn't happened, I believe Cardiff would have got a result, if not won it.
Well, I didn't want
because they'd frustrated them for so long. I think eventually they would have. You know, but it's all if.
I certainly don't want to turn this into picking on the manager. But what did he change at half time? How did the system change and what?
Well, I think he left Amiobi. Obviously, they had to bring the keeper on. Mason was sacrificed. Amiobi stayed up front. There was the two banks of four. So it was just trying to hold out. I'll be fair. I thought Amiobi played really well. In that second half.
He's got a lot of credit.
I think I thought he put in a really kind of mature performance. You know, they were under a lot of pressure. And
he's going to stretch your defence.
He did a lot of work.
He's the guy, isn't he?
He held the ball up well, and then when I think it was there 20 minutes on Kenwyn came on. I can't remember. Was it for noon? I think. And Amiobi then dropped back then and did a hell of a lot of defensive work.
Well, so Mike Jenkins brings up Amiobi. He says, should he play from the start or is he an impact player? Personally, I think we need pace, and that's the one quality we seriously lack. So if you were picking the team for Charlton Saturday, is Amiobi?
I mean, obviously, Said made the two. You know, they were a surprise a little bit, you know, because he's not known for his, you know, ringing the changes. And they'd had a defeat, but as we said, it was against Hull, but it was a dominant performer. He wasn't like ripped things up. I thought Amiobi came in and did really well. I mean, as we say, in the opening 42 minutes, him and Mason, I think inevitably looked a bit, you know, they wasn't the understand. I think it's you know, the understanding wasn't quite there. Mason was very quiet.
I don't. Can you? Sorry to cut across.
No problem. Mate.
I just got a question. Why was Kenwyn on the bench?
Well, I can only assume he wanted to give Amiobi the start. I mean,
it's this pace thing, isn't it?
There's nothing wrong with it. He came on. I can't remember. Was it 60 odd minutes or 70 odd minutes? I thought Amiobi did better when they were down to 10 men in a really weird way, but that was nothing. And of course, the other big change was bringing Craig Noon in for Pilkington.
This
was also on the bench, but that I thought was less successful. Noon
didn't impact. He
didn't really have any impact. They were doubling up on him a lot, and he was going down a lot of blind alleys. And there wasn't
it's funny because it's all about. A lot of it's about timing. And when Craig was on fire 3-4 weeks ago, I thought, right, get him in now, play him, play him. He's playing into form. Once it douses down a bit.
I tell you what, he doesn't stay up for long because he's down already.
But that's probably it. He's probably scored a couple of goals, thinking, boom, I'm going to start, and then boom, you know, he's down a bit. So, you know, at the end of the day, manager selection. At the end of the day, I probably would have gone with Kenwyn down the middle. And had
I tell you
two people wide, because I just think, listen, Amiobi, a good player, Mason, very good player. I just think when defenders, knowing from experience, when defenders see someone like Kenwyn, they think, and Rotherham, they're going to be thinking, we are going to get battered.
It's funny you should say that. I was in the press room before the game, and I know it was the press room, not the Rotherham dressing room. When the team sheets came out, the local press down there were like, "Oh, great! Kenwyn's on the bench." There was a real. They were, and you get the feeling if all the local reporters were like that, the Rotherham dressing room was a bit like, "Oh, Christ, we've done a two-centre halves in the squad."
Trust me, I speak from experience.
Yeah, it's
when
exactly
certain players aren't playing in the dressing room, right? There'll be certain players will be giving it the old whoo. Yes,
and it was. There was a real buzz around there, thinking, "Great, Kenwyn's not starting," which I think tells you all you need to know about his reputation around the championship.
At this level. Well, I feel for Amiobi because Amiobi came on Tuesday night on the right wing, caused mayhem, got into the box every time he got the ball. Suddenly, it changed again. Noon came on wide right, Amiobi goes into the middle. Amiobi's completely ineffective. Then Saturday starts the game in a sort of number 10 thing behind Mason, and then has to play as a lone striker. So in 2 games, he's been given a bit of game time.
Across the 4.
But he's getting
across the 4.
It's like, the poor lad, you know, he's a Premier League player. He's like, they give me a run where I can cause damage.
Maybe the manager is guilty of trying to be a bit, you know, too inventive then, let's say, rather than...
That's going to be the first time anyone has ever said that about Russell Slade. The guy's too inventive.
I'm saying it because, you know, a lot of people give him stick about his substitutions and things like that, and selection and things like that. Maybe he's thinking, because public opinion matters, maybe he's thinking, oh, if I do this and do that and we get a win, again, I'm proved that I actually do know what I'm doing. Mate, it was fine. Just you know.
Do you think he was a bit guilty of thinking his own lever off the run or something?
No, we can't second guess him. He might have been thinking to himself, well, Kenwin looks tired in training.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair
How you come, I'll put him in. So
I think
there's 101 reasons, do you know what I mean? But my point is, if they're all fresh and they're all feeling fine, just leave it alone.
The changes
Put Kenwin
were not...
up there. Kenwin for me is always my first. Across the front line, I'm putting Kenwin down the middle. Because even Amiobi, good player, not established as Kenwin. Joe Mason, good player, not established as Kenwin. Pilkington, Noon, good players, not established as Kenwin. And out of those 5 players I named, if you went and spoke to defenders and said, right, as a back 4, who would you rather face? Amiobi, Pilkington, Kenwin Jones, Noon, or Mason? I would say the overwhelming majority would be, we wouldn't want to face Kenwin.
Yeah.
Give us any others.
And that was the buzz that was around when
well, he's the,
was
I mean, again, it hark back to Costa, because he's the guy everyone's talking about. Everyone's saying about him is his beauty. He's so strong. And Cardiff have a player in that different type of player, but in that sort of mode, with that.
Well, there's nothing, you don't see anyone. Tell me, in how long Kenwin been here now? 2.5 seasons.
Yeah.
Tell me who you've ever seen bully him.
Nobody.
But you've seen him bully countless.
He wins every header. He does. There's no doubt about it. He does. Anyway,
well, this is we know on the Bootroom we're Kenwin Jones fans, and we should have his portrait.
One for you, Steve.
What's going on with that wet hair gel? That hair. I hope you didn't go near any naked flames with that on you. Is that what happened? Like Michael Jackson going up like a Roman candle. Sorry.
One for you, mate.
Always keen to
too much hair gel.
Try keep a football show.
I prefer Fred Keener's.
Hey, leave the real cream boy alone.
For those not so interested in hairstyles, one for you, Tux, because this came up in what you wrote, okay? And I know you feel this. One positive from the defeat was the spirit shown by the valiant 10 men. Squad of players seem to be playing for Slade and putting effort in. Should be good reasons for fans to come back and get behind the team.
Yeah. Well, as I say, I touched on that earlier. I thought that the opening... it's weird. It's almost like the game starts when Marshall got sent off. Do you know what I mean? In your mind, you cast your back. The first thing that comes out is, Marshall sent off. 42 minutes before that. Yeah, you'd have to say, I thought, looking at when there was 11v11, Slade's changes really didn't work. Really, you'd have to say it. I thought they'd done. Second up, then when he went off and they were down to 10 men, it became a bit of back. It obviously, inevitably became backstall. And I'll be fair. You know, let's look upon it. If the own goal at the end was really unfortunate, you know, I mean, it was ball into the near post and no blame attached to Matt Connolly, you know, a mistake and all that, I think. If they'd held on, Cardiff, which it was the last kick of the game, they were virtually there, you would be saying, what a great one. They lost their captain. They lost their captain. They lost their, you know, before half time. They got back in it with the penalty. They were 1-0 down. They got back. You'd be saying that, but I thought they did show that.
But do you see how that can influence the mindset? So do you see how the positive press and people talking down to 10 men, got a result, fantastic, to in a split second between, you know, 93, 59 and 94, you lose a goal.
And the whole world.
And then it's the whole...
It turns on the captain, the star player.
And then we start to focus on... So what we don't do is look at it holistically. We're just looking at that 5 minutes and, you know, that's what's deciding our season, sort of. No, deciding the 90 minutes.
I think if you look at the bigger picture of the whole thing, all right, they lost against Hull, but there was no shame in that. I mean, you know, what are they now, 8th? where you said, that's where he
No,
said
yeah,
he'd finish.
I was going to bring
Still,
that
that was me. But, you know, it's still a good start to the season. Hull, they're going to be up there, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are. You know
look at their
that.
squad.
They're just down. They got
Diamond.
yeah, I mean, they've held on to a lot of those guys. So there's no, you know, and it was bottom of the table, Robin,
Davis,
but
good,
there were all the circumstances surrounding it. So you'd still have to say, you know, there's no panic button or anything like that. But I mean, you know, it's a reasonable start, and it's what it is. It's what it is, and you have to see.
It's just a choker when you concede on the very last kick. It is.
Of course,
it's like if Cardiff had done that and won the game, I guarantee you, for the next 3 or 4 games, they'd be flying, absolutely flying.
I know. But there was a certain inevitability about it. I mean, I wasn't there, I was just listening on the radio. And,
you just knew. I just wishing the clock away.
They were
Don't wish life away, but I
mean, what about that? I mean, that shot that came back off the post, it was like the post still rattling there. So they'd had a lot of warnings. But, you know, and you'd have to be fair and say, and I you know, obviously we're Cardiff-centric, but I think if Rotherham had come off there without the win, they would have been like saying, hang on, we deserve that.
We're going down.
We're fighting for survival already.
Just change direction slightly. One name keeps popping up, and I agree. Bruno Manga, Player of the Year without a shadow of a doubt. You know, he arguably should be in the Premier League or whatever. Well, can they afford to keep leaving him on the bench? Would he have made a difference in that situation?
Do they have the excuse now to bring him in? You know, with a own goal or
which
you know,
starts
whatever.
Another massive debate.
Do they? Well, we got. Come on, this is a debate show, so we got plenty of time. I mean, of course, one factor I'm not sure, Blake, if you know, he's carrying a shoulder injury, man, because it needs injections.
And I think
don't know if that's a factor.
You know,
in the whole
Morrison
thing.
and Connolly, they've done well.
I think so.
And Morrison seems to have cut out that, because I thought he was one of the most unlucky players ever. He make a mistake and it always lead to a goal.
Connolly almost made an absolute clanger in the first half.
Yeah, I know.
But
the difference is it didn't go in the net.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and I guarantee it was like last season. If that was Morrison, it would have ended up in the net. That's how unlucky he was. Yeah. But as the season's growing and growing, I don't think the two centre halves. I don't think you can. You know, once you've got the shirt, you've got the shirt sort of thing, and it's not whether you can get it back. It's whether I relinquish it really and truly. Okay. Now, the flip side, you can say, well, maybe the manager could go to a back three.
Now, this is going to be my next question.
Yeah, where we struggle with 2 in midfield, and we can put an extra man in there. We got 2 full backs who can play wing back as well. So, but it gives you options. You know what I mean? But, you know, trying to find that formula, you know, for me, if you're going to play a 4-4-2, you can't just drop one of the 2 centre halves because neither of them have done anything that's warranted. And what you've got to understand is, if you do, what it does is it unsettles everybody else, because other people start to think, well, Connolly or Morrison, they've been on fire. They've been like rocks. We've had like, at 8 games, we've lost 2 games. Those 2 have been like hard in defence, and he's just dropped them.
But if he was a striker, that scored 20, 30 goals last season, you'd have no hesitation in saying, right, he's got to play. Because it's a centre back, the argument changes. A different dynamic.
Well, look at Kenwyn.
Exactly.
He doesn't play every game, or I mean, a couple of weeks ago, Russell Slade was saying, like, you know, singing his praises sort of thing, and I said, you know, I don't think we really look at him like for his. We don't look how valuable he is to the team, to the squad. It seems to be overlooked, and I think someone's come out and said, "Oh, well, that's nonsense." But you know,
they always do after this show. They say I was all nonsense, and they're quite right.
Say what you like, you know, whether you like it or not. You know, strikers are your bread and butter, mate. That's where championships are won and lost, mate.
That. But I think the long run with Connolly and Morrison is, as Blakey's saying, they've certainly not done enough wrong to relinquish those shirts. Can
you afford to just leave Bruno Manga on the bench? You've paid however many million for him. It cost you whatever he does a week.
Yeah. I think
he is your star player. Surely.
I think that goes out the window. I think once you're injured and you've had an injury and those boys have gone in and started to play, and they play well,
they've just lost 2 on the spin.
You have to accept that. Yeah, there is that point.
You know,
I mean, well, if you're going to make a change, now is the time.
I like your changing system idea. What do you think about that, Tux? You think that could be a goer? 3 at the back?
Well, with Fabio,
and Malone, say? as your wing backs?
I'd like to have that option. I
No,
think.
we said
hang on,
we said Russell Slade was being too inventive. Let's not send him over the edge into oblivion.
I heard on Wrexham. Wrexham played 2 or 3 different systems in 90 minutes. Right? Now, that's a National League conference where everyone will say, that's at that level. I heard Big Sam on Match of the Day a couple of weeks ago saying about Sean Dyche and Burnley, he just stuck with 4-4-2. That is gone. Those days are gone, mate. Yeah, you have to. It's like a game of chess.
I agree.
Literally, like in my day, if you say to someone, right, Gaz, you're a right back, you're playing right wing back. Gaz be like, I don't know how to play it because I got to play higher up the pitch. But
they have the fullbacks who can do it. The two I just mentioned.
The problem is now, it's not the problem. The beauty is now is that most academies coach different systems from about the age of 13, 14 up to the kids. So by the time the kid's like 16, 17 now, he's played in probably a back 3, a back 4, a midfield 3, a midfield 5, a midfield 4. They've played it, so they used to, and they can adapt much easier. Yeah. And I think like if you're gonna go 4-4-2 all season, which I don't think we will, but I think as a club at our level, we should be able to adapt our. Most clubs can these days. Most players can.
They have the personnel to do it as well. It's not as if Fabio would love to be able to give more license.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? It's actually it's actually suggesting itself, isn't it? It's saying, look what you've got. These 3 centre halves. They're all you've got this star. You've
got a midfield 3. So say he's playing roles as a winger.
And Witz doesn't. Well, Wolves don't have to play out left. Witz doesn't have to worry about being overrun in a 2. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You've got someone to support. You can play Mason, who can play as a 10.
It does.
You've got then Amiobi can play as a 10, an 11, a 7. You've got the same with Noonan and Pilkington. So you've got it at your disposal.
Yep, absolutely.
I'd be surprised if they haven't
worked on
more than one system.
Well, especially when you've got 3 centre backs, as you say,
of the quality of we got. Because we paid money for Morrison. Colin Lee's like 4 promotions, 5 promotions. And Manga, like you said, he's a star man. So you'd almost think it's kind of like inviting you in, isn't it?
Have a go.
It
is.
Give it a shot.
And it gives your opposition problems.
It does.
Because if you work on it to the point where you can go, right, we're playing 4-4-2 today, no problem. Or we're playing 3-5-2 today, no problem. Or we're playing 3 with 2 holding, or 4 with 1 holding. I mean, the day of the scout going to do the match report and saying, yeah, they play 4-4-2 and this is how they're playing, this is their strengths, this is their weaknesses, bang. And the opposition able to adjust to that. Yeah. You come up against someone like Wolves, or you come up against someone like Derby or something like that.
Brighton and things like that.
Yeah, or you think, right, let me just adjust this and adjust that there, because they're not going to be ready for that.
Absolutely. I promised earlier we were going to come on to the atmospheres and the attendances and that sort of thing. We'll give that a minute. First of all, who's
this from? What's this from?
An amazing story we've had today about Darcy Blake, and Marco's brought it up. What about Darcy Blake then? I don't know if you know Blakey, but basically he's quit football and he started playing rugby for his local team, New Tredegar. Yeah, and he was live on Scrum 5 last night.
Was he?
Yeah, with his teammates.
Oh,
and he said on Twitter, I've fallen out of love with football, and I'm enjoying my rugby.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, when somebody said to me this morning, Blakey started playing rugby, I thought, crikey.
Do all right.
I told me he couldn't run.
My family were rugby players.
Well, I know you've got strong links, but I thought now you'd suddenly thought, nah, I'm going to get it.
I back you, yeah. You play in the pack or behind.
All right. Pilarias and all that. Exactly. Number 10 when I was 15. I've had a go.
I reckon your hamstrings could probably handle that, couldn't they?
It's hardly animal walking up the stairs, I don't think.
What do you think about Daz? I mean, are you happy for him?
Listen, I'm happy that he's happy.
27, I think. Maybe younger than
that. All I can say is
he's not younger than that.
Okay.
He should be in his absolute prime as a centre half.
He came
playing at least at championship level.
Ramsey and players like that.
Mark Rooney almost out of the game. And
if he's happy though, what can you say?
Well, no, he's happy. Crikey, I'm not going to disagree with him.
And he's obviously happy because he's gone like public with it. Hey, listen, life's funny, isn't it? It takes twists and turns. You're supposed to You're supposed to follow this path, and this is.
There's no doubt he should be.
This was going
to. He should be, but he's not.
He should be going to Euro. 2016. If they qualify, you always have to say that with Wales. Even once they qualify, if they don't lose their way on the way to the tournament and end up in Spain or something. No, I mean. He should be doing that. If he's happy, great. That's the meaning of life, isn't it? Is to live a happy life. But I mean, you can't help feeling
there was some county fans.
A talent squandered.
I know, but you have to understand as well. There's times in football where you might fall out with a manager or whatever and then that might last like 6 months, and then something happens. I don't know, you might split with your missus, you're on a down about that, then you go on 6 months, and then a new manager comes in, you think, I got a chance, then he just puts you in with the kids, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, because you said something there that he said he's no longer in love with the game.
That's exactly it.
It's difficult to play the game if you're not in love with it. Seriously,
no,
at that level.
It's difficult to enter.
Because what you've got to understand is, on a park with your mates, and you're not in love with the game, you might have a bit of fun, have a bit of banter, a few jars after, great. But professionalism at the top level, which he's capable in I love Darcy Blake, I've always said he's a cracking player. I thought under Dave Jones he was one of our best defenders. I thought he'd go on and be a Cardiff legend, to be honest with you, but
likewise. It
hasn't materialised that way. But he's, if he's not in love with it, it's difficult to get yourself up. It's difficult, and he could have gone through a depressive state, anything, and he just might be thinking to himself, now, I just want to not rebuild my career, I just want to enjoy myself for a while.
And to be fair, that picture that was taken of him on telly last night, with his teammates, he was smiling, he looked happy.
That's it,
I have to say.
It's still a talent squandered.
We have seen lots of talent squandered over the years.
No, I know it happens, but in this case, we're talking about Darcy Blake, and I believe right now, what is he, 26, 27, he should be playing for a championship side at least, and should be going to Euro 2006 as a centre-half. I don't care about him falling. I tell you what, if he managed to sustain his career at championship level and international level, he wouldn't be falling out of love with the game. Which came first?
No, you don't know, because there's other circumstances.
I can't speak for him. Great. If he's having a good time,
that's all I get. Because there's circumstances.
But I think to the outsider, you can't help but look at him and think,
people would love to have your talent.
What could have been?
I did love to know what Bale and Ramsey make of it, because obviously they grew up with him, and he was in amongst their sort of.
I mean, I don't think he was a good. I don't think he was ever quite at that level with them. But no, he was a very good
potential to be.
Yeah, he was a very good player.
You talk about the one with Rooney. I remember him marking Zaha in the semi-final of the Carling Cup.
Oh yeah,
just an amazing performance against a kid who was. So talented.
Everybody was on about, yeah. No, I thought he was a very good player. I mean, crikey, I followed his. I think he made his debut for Cardiff, if I'm right, at West Brom away or something. I remember Dave Jones brought him on. It was like half time or something, and
if you're
playing a bit further forward.
If you're unhappy, so much else behind that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's life. Think about
fans.
Good luck to him. You'll be at the next Rugby World Cup.
I was going to mention there were some county fans on Twitter saying, come back, we could do with you now, right now.
Oh,
give up rugby and come and play for us.
When I was there, if I was the manager, I'd just drive up and see him. I'd sit him down, and if he said to me, Nath, look, really, I don't want to play football, I'd say, all right, mate, no problem, not a problem. But if he said to me, well, this happened, that happened, this, and I'd say to him, well, I can promise you that's never going to happen here, this is not going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Get into his mind, find out what the problem is. He's not in love with the game for a reason. Now, is that reason, can it be, resolved over a course of time by a certain manager showing a lot of faith, a lot of trust in you? Can it? We don't know. But for me, Newport especially, the position they're in, they need to, every stone, they need to have a turn of it. Every stone. Now, Newport fans saying that, listen, I 100% agree with them. Because if I was Terry Butcher now, and I heard that, I'd be straight in my car, straight up the way he lives, to his house, not like find him up, I'd go to his house and knock his door, say, Das, can I have a word? Do you want to come out? Let's have a chat. and let's see if we can rebuild you. Because it's been done before. Every circumstance you can think, it's happened to somebody. So, but
It's fascinating.
if he's happy, I'm happy.
There were obviously issues about his attitude,
Marky,
fitness.
Marky had issues, didn't he?
I mean, I know Mackay was not enthralled by the way he conducted
But again, if he was
himself
out
off the pitch, I have
of
no
level with the
idea.
game,
When he
I
talked
wasn't
about
enthralled
Mackay,
with how Mackay conducted himself within football.
fair enough.
So,
Fair enough.
Let's not go
Horses
there.
for courses.
Exactly.
Horses for
Let's
courses.
not go there.
So-
Let's not go there.
Hang on, we haven't had a row for 10 minutes.
I know, come
There's
on.
people
come
out
on.
there.
Let's talk about that bar.
I said we'd get on to crowds and atmospheres. Wayne's come straight in and said one big name signing and would bring the big crowds. We don't want to see Pound.
Oh, we're talking about crowds now. Sorry, Catherine.
Let's get on to crowds.
We were
And the
focusing-
name that keeps coming up, and he's still available, and he's been to Bolton for talks, but Kevin Nolan. I was talking about ringing players up, going to see him and putting the arm around him. Is that one, if you were Russell now?
Can they afford him?
Yes.
No, Bolton kind of Bolton are in
Yes,
serious
I
trouble.
would.
Bolton, right, okay.
Yeah, but he's
Oh,
talking. He's talking to Bolton right now.
Yes.
His former
I'd
club.
go for it.
He's a
yes.
great lad as well, Noakes.
brilliant.
Good pro.
Oh, you know him, do you?
Good lad. Yeah, he was an apprentice when I was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a kid,
Didn't
schoolboy.
clean your
Of course
boots,
he
did
was,
he?
yeah.
No, he's a schoolboy when I was there, and he potential, always had bags of potential. Lovely kid. Have a good laugh with him.
The issue with Cardiff, we're talking about captains and leaders and
He takes it.
big names.
He'll,
Well, what
under
were we
any pressure.
talk-
Imagine the pressure he's been on under West Ham for
What were we
years.
talking about over the summer? Cardiff needed. You know, we were going through. They need a midfield general guy. They need the midfield. That's him. That's you looked that up in the dictionary.
You could
That's
get
what
him, you
mean.
could sign him today. You could go ring him, do a deal today, get him in.
He's not a. I have to take a bit of issue with Tux there. We haven't had a row. We'll have it now. He's not really a general.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
He's not a midfield general. What's his name at West Ham? The other lad, the West Ham lad.
Noble.
Noble's a general.
Okay.
Yeah. He's more of a number 10 floating
He does
midfielder.
like going forward, yeah.
And he's someone who you say, well, he's going to guarantee me 15 goals, and he's not a striker. So I've now got another option to mess with my midfield and my front line, as in rotating, whether I want a 10, whether I want an attacking midfielder to sit in. He gives you a lot of options. However, his age and his experience, if you said to him play 6 set in front of the back 4, standing on his head, mate. He's got a great game intelligence.
And surely he wants to play. I mean, you know him, surely.
100%. That's him. He's a player. He's a good player, good lad. So if the opportunity was there, yeah. But you've got to be able to go and you've got to be able to tempt these people with what you're.
What would you say to him if you were a Cardiff manager now? You talked about what you do if you're a Newport manager. You've got a similar situation, yeah?
If I was Cardiff manager,
Yeah. How would you attract him?
just put what a
I
cash
was
on
going
the
to say
table.
that's got to be the best way.
No.
Because bear in mind, you know all about Bolton. You know what?
Yeah. He's earned a lot of money in the game. I think you've got to sell what your dream is, and it's not just we want to get promotion. How are you going to get it? Yeah, let's have a if we're going to analyse it, let's have a real look. What do I see your club going forward at the moment, or do I see it standing still, going backwards? You got to be able to convince him.
Would you tell him he could be the man to drive it forward, which is what Wayne is saying?
Well, he is, but we've also got other men who can drive it forward who are sat on the bench at the moment. So, you got to the players got to believe in what you're selling them. Yeah, and right now, if you're asking me as a Cardiff manager, what would I go and sell to him? With what's happened, because you're not saying to me, speak hypothetically how you would have. Gone throughout the season.
Yeah.
What's happened and what's going on as a whole, I'm not quite sure. You'd have to give me more time.
Fair enough. What about
sell
you've
him
got
the
a
dream.
club on the edge of the playoffs of the Championship, with a massive ground, with a massive support there that Jets want.
Okay,
massive empty
so
ground.
say you're the manager and I'm Kevin Nolan. My first question was, why are you selling all your best players? Are you cutting your wage bill?
Fair enough. But I mean, you said.
Who are you going to bring in? What's your dream? What's your ideas?
Wasn't Amiobi the big summer signing to
Well,
bring?
he must be
people
another
back?
selling point, surely. I mean, you've got kids.
Amiobi's a selling point. I think Noon's a selling point. Pilkington's a selling point.
Whittingham, spray passes
Whittingham's
around.
a selling point. You listen. You could sell it to him, but at the moment, we haven't got this momentum. You know what it's like. Just look at, like, regardless of what you think about the promotion season, how it just gathered momentum. Do you know what I mean? A promotion season does.
Yeah.
You feel something different as game by game. You go away to clubs like, where did we go? And was it Hull? We went and got a great result in the promotion season. You just thought this. Something,
Blackburn,
something's happening.
Yeah.
And you knew. I think it was.
You knew really early on. I mean, it's funny because I was looking on Soccer Base, the website thing which lists of seasons as win, draw, and there was like an early defeat. I think it's the right season. Wasn't there an early defeat to Bristol City or something like that?
Yeah.
And then
Didn't
it's
lose
just
for
like
ages.
doom, 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 doom.
Yeah.
Suddenly they go on this run out
Yeah.
of September into October, and you just go down and you're just like, wow, look at that. It's like barely a draw in there, let alone a defeat.
Teams had lost
They
their
just
impression,
suddenly picked up.
So at the moment, it's, and you're talking about attendances and what have you, and I don't believe it's personally. So please don't attack me. But personally, I don't believe it's just as simple as sign a player.
Okay.
Honestly, in my heart of
What is it?
hearts, I believe it's a combination of stuff, and I don't want to repeat it because what happens is people go, "Oh, it's listen." Hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just what I see. You go from 25,000 to 13,000, and you think it's as simple as signing a player. You're missing the point because I always say, to stop a fan who's been going for 25 years. To stop him going, you have got to have done some serious damage to that person for him to say, do you know what? I'm not renewing. I'm not going. Simple as that.
Yep.
So there's a lot.
Is
And yeah,
so is that
you
the
know
re-
people.
is that the
I know
rebrand,
people. You know
Ben?
people.
Is it the
It's more
rebrand?
than that. There's lots. Tux, just you don't play dumb because you've written on every single story. Now, you know how many negative stories there were over the last 2 or 3 seasons, right? And it comes to a stage where people go, do you know what? Enough's enough. And I believe that's what's happened. Enough's enough.
Okay.
So I don't think it's don't get me wrong. I think if we went on and we were playing unbelievable football, I think you would attract some of them back. Not all of them, but I think you could attract some of them back. But I think there's a lot more in the overall philosophy of the club that needs to be better.
You said an interesting thing to me the other day. We were chatting about this, and you said something like, and I said, well, crikey, if they went on a winning run and they were at the top end of the table, they'd come back. And I think you said something like 17, 18, you reckon? That's what you said. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
You said even say we got to February or something, and they were like,
I don't think you'd see that bouncing full stadium again.
No, and you
not
thought
for a
maybe
while.
like 18 tops, was it, or something like that, which sort of just, well, I know it's a theory.
That's still a good crowd.
No, it's a good crowd, but I mean, it's
But
not,
the potential's there. Look, you don't extend your stadium to 35,000 without realising that the potential's there to have that full every week.
I think it is.
And we have got more than that potentially. I've always said it. Cardiff is like a 40, 50,000 fan club, no problem.
Newcastle or something.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's that. It's that sort of Newcastle-esque. It falls into that sort of category.
Has it ever really taken off in the new stadium, though? Like, hear me out. I know we've had like Leicester,
Man City,
Palace, Man City, the Premier League. I'm not even talking the Premier League because that was almost like an occasion thing in itself.
Okay.
I'm saying like
Swansea games
bread and butter championships. The outside. I don't believe it's ever really regularly coalesced. Do you know what I mean? The way. You know what Ninian Park was like? I don't know what it was like. You went down there and it could be like, Hereford at home and you felt like you were in some kind of cauldron of, and it was one man and his dog. I just think it's almost as kind of like prosaic or simple as fans were moved around, this, that. I'm never quite sure where people are going to sing in that
transition.
round,
the transition.
Does there have to be a?
I think that you can add that into the pot as one of the reasons. I think like what Tux just mentioned about fans being moved around. But I think the transition. I think for probably the first 2 or 3 years, I felt, again, I'm speaking from a personal point of view, I felt almost like a willingness by the club to almost not forget its history of what happened at Ninian Park, but this is a new beginning. And if people went, oh yeah, what was it like a couple of years ago? Oh, don't look. Don't look. Just look at this now. It's all
forget
beautiful,
that.
We're Family Club of the Year, so shut up.
And I just think that was a mistake. I feel.
Well, Carl has dived in and he's basically written an essay, and there's some really good stuff in here.
Carl.
One, and you can identify this, and you can answer this. He says 6,000 fans inside Ninian Park, and any opposition team would be intimidated.
Yeah. Well,
you can from personal experience.
That's how it felt.
Right? After leaving Cardiff and going and playing around, I played against and played with players who played at Ninian Park. Its reputation is like second to none, really. It is. And I don't say that as like a proud, we had mad hooligans and all that. I'm just saying.
Come on, don't
as a player, if I know you're coming to my ground and you're a bit, mate, I'm going to play on that. Again, it's pushing every limit, every boundary to its limit, isn't it? I know, right, Gaz is a right back, and got the Bob Bank boys, and I tell you what, I'm going to fly past him and let him take me out, and they'll be up on that fence, boy. And I know after that, I'll be saying more through the game, mate, they're going to have you out there.
Is it just, I know, okay, you got the numbers, and they speak for themselves, but atmosphere-wise, is it just the modern game in a way? You know, you think of a lot.
You go to Premier League grounds.
Well, exactly. I go to a lot. Obviously, I go to a lot of grounds. You know, into Ewood Park, and it's like, you know, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, sitting down is a big thing.
Well,
safe standing.
Look at the clubs you played for.
Is this the mod? You can go to the Emirates. Goodness, got to be one of the crazy. And it's a bit like.
But I
went. I was at a club in Bolton where we moved from Burnham Park to the Reebok, and.
How did that? Were you there for that?
It did, because everything. Okay. It was like
maybe that
everything came with. It was like basically the only thing that was left at the Reebok at Burnham Park was the old steel. Everything, memorabilia, pictures, history, people, everything like came.
The same place.
Do you know what I mean? So it didn't feel. For the players, you just had to get used to the surroundings, because there's certain, like I always say, there's certain like colours and stands and like the dugout, you'll know where you are in relation to the pitch and things like that. So you won't always have to look where you're going, sort of thing. But it came over. Now you look at Bolton, and it pains me to say they're struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, fans, they gone. I went up a couple of years ago when they were, you know.
The problem is that somewhere like Cardiff City Stadium, you stand up and start going to somebody.
This is also in Carl's.
You're going to be like escorted from the ground.
Well, also in Carl's essay, and I'll bring it up because he says away fans are treated far better. The family stand is at the wrong end, and there's overzealous stewarding. I think that's three solid points, and I think. Yeah, the three of those could upset me enough to not go if I was faced with it.
There's nothing worse than if you're one of those guys who really likes to carry away at the ground, likes to stand up, and you're a whole week. I'm not like Blakey. I'm not talking into hooliganism. I mean that passion you get from people. A week in an office.
The fans demanding of you as a player.
If you're not allowed to do that,
Blakey's talking about the boys on the Bob Bank. Those boys on the Bob Bank still exist.
If you're not allowed to do that by some kind of guy in a fluorescent jacket, whatever. You're going to be unhappy.
It was like at Ninian Park, you would have like people just say, "Oh, Blakey, you're lazy," or "Blakey, you're too late."
I got bad news. That was me. I was on the Bob Bank.
But do you know what I love? You almost had like a conversation with them. You didn't speak to them, but they were like, "Blake, sort it out," or "Come on, get out there, pick him up, you're killing him."
There were some classics.
It was
playing for Wimbledon.
Was classic.
Was it Wimbledon? He was playing for Hearts, and I have never heard when he was playing for. I don't mind
Trundle played for Bristol City at Ninian.
It was just hilarious. I mean, and they got the reaction in the end from him. I won't do the gesture, but
that's it. But
you can use your imagination.
You can't see that happening now, can you? I mean,
that's what I mean.
There was one the other day.
Is it the modern game? I don't know. It's happening everywhere. It's not just Cardiff. I mean, as I say, the numbers are down at Cardiff, but the atmosphere everywhere to me. Everywhere. I can't remember the last time I was like. Like,
Crystal
wow,
Palace.
my goodness. Palace
Crystal
is good.
Palace is a
Well,
great
Palace was the one, yeah. I mean,
Palace is
I
good. But
wrote
then
about
again,
it last
see
week.
the thing there, it's old school, isn't it? It's a really old, it's a wooden slats.
But what
and all
they
that. So
did,
is that the factor?
And I did the story on it last week. What they did, and that's what the Cardiff guys are doing tonight at this meeting, is they got together. 6 of them decided, right, we're going to have to start a movement here to get some atmosphere into this ground. Because, I mean, I went there, the early 2000s, and it was a quiet place. They got together and said, right, let's start bringing in music, let's start bringing in banners and flags, and it's caught on. And
I'm not sure about that
well, this is the thing. I mean, I'm not saying
not erasure like you be.
I certainly wasn't putting it forward.
Yeah, okay, I'll make an exception for that. I'll make it every time Cardiff score a goal.
I certainly wasn't putting it forward as a solution for Cardiff. I was just showing how, when they got organised, they changed it. I mean, now you look at them in the Premier League, and they played Swansea the last game of last season, and the guys are coming back saying it's an amazing atmosphere.
The park's the same though, and you think to yourself, it's heavily in debt. Bolton, heavily in debt. Decent squad, good manager, and you think to yourself, well, what's happened? Point is, it doesn't come from the bottom up. It always comes from the top down. That's just life. Do you know what I mean? And what you do at the top, I always say, filters down throughout your club. And if you find your club struggling for whatever reason, it's easy to point the finger at the 11 men on the pitch.
Yeah.
Especially as a fan, because that's what I associate with week in, week out. But 9 times out of 10, not 100% of the time, but 9 times out of 10, the problem usually lays up here, and it drifts down. Like I say, fans don't walk out in thousands because they didn't like this, or they didn't like that, or they didn't like this.
The style of football.
There's got to be a combination of things that add up to the point where I'm over the edge. I can't do it no more.
I agree with you more.
As Blakey said, we write about these things, searching for answers, and we say, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this?
Chuck
It's all of them.
Chuck them all in.
It's all of them.
And more.
Blakey's right. It's all and others. Yeah, it's all of them. It's all of them.
So we'll come on to some solutions, and we'll have a chat about the Charlton game and stuff. If you had one thing, if you were going to the fans meeting tonight, what suggestions or one suggestion would you?
Let's all go back to Ninian Park. Go and hang around in those people who live in there's that back garden.
I mean, I've had things like free tickets for kids, or offering free tickets in the Premier League if they go up, and things like that.
A lot of those people who think about Ninian Park, and they're all very working class, and it was a working class. But I think quite a few people have been outpriced.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Bring the prices
And it's like you said about money priority.
What do you think?
You've got a small family, a young family now, and not small.
You've got to think yourself. Since the Premier League was born, I always say football became a white collar sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably right.
Football was always seen. We were the dregs. I remember the 80s, and the hooliganism, it wasn't good and all that, but I just remember how like Maggie Thatcher and people like that used to speak about football, and it wasn't like we'll try and stop the hooligan element and focus on the football. It was like you're all you're all
unwanted
from council estates anyway. The players, you're all a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? You're one of them. We're all coupled. That's why. There was nothing doing with football with white collar, if you like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The rich were your chairman who had the local business, and you know what I mean? Now it's a global market. It's huge. It's people making millions, billions. It's worth billions. It's an industry. It's massive now. Do you know what I mean? The Premier League is huge.
I definitely
it's totally
think there's got to
different.
be room for standing again as well.
Yep, that's a good shout.
I definitely think so.
Well.
Because now we're not talking about the cop in the 70s, where you looked at it and were like, somebody's going to it's going to be the end of civilization. We're talking about
this is what they did at Palace. This is what they did at
like they do at the Bundesliga.
Just allowing fans to stand in one area of the ground. Just say like, behind that goal.
Safe standing.
If you want to stand up.
Because we've come a long way from all those terrible tragedies that led.
We'll look at any away game, and this is part of what Carl says. The away fans always stand up through the whole game, almost wherever you go. Yeah, almost any. The Cardiff fans do as well. Yeah, and that's allowed. Yet home fans, they tend to be a bit more overzealous.
I think what it is, if you had a standing area or a standing terrace or whatever you want to call it, I think the people who have got the ability to make the noise, and they will gravitate.
That's exactly
to that.
what Palace did.
Because that's what you want, don't you? It was like the Cop or all the famous stands. You had the people who were like going to create your atmosphere, start it and spread it around the ground. I sometimes get the impression in Cardiff there's sort of like a couple of people here, a couple there, there's a couple up there, and so somebody starts a little thing, and it
almost compete in different sections.
If you had a like safe standing terrace, I think you'd find all those supporters heading there and saying, and I think that would help.
The point you made earlier about the seating and all that, the difference was at Burnley to the Reebok, you knew where all the heads were still.
Right. Yeah.
You know. Listen, you know, they don't have to cause trouble. They're just the heads. They're running. They're the boys. They sing. They you know. You knew where, I knew exactly where they were at the Reebok Stadium. I don't know where they sit now at excuse my French, Freudian slip, at the City Stadium. Yeah. So I know, like I said, I've said before, I know people who have stopped. Like the car parking issue was the straw that broke the camel. That's it. Then I've had enough. I think what Cardiff could do is look at the club as a whole. Look at like the staff should know the history of the club, and just get that family atmosphere within the club back. Yeah. Yeah. At the moment, it just seems.
Well, is this idea of free tickets for kids? Would that fill the ground up?
I know what some of my friends are really like.
You're buying kids tickets.
They be shaving their heads off and put a dummy in their mouth and coming here.
Wheeling them in his back.
How old are you?
5.
I think it's an idea. I think there's.
And it can't do any harm.
But at the moment there's 20,000 empty seats.
Yeah, and I think
it's a good way of punishing children, isn't it? If they do wrong. Don't do that again, or I'll take you to Cardiff.
I think and we've been accused on the show. I had one Muppet, and I will call him a Muppet. He said like we were angling for jobs at Cardiff. Yeah. Good luck.
I can't wait.
Good job of that.
The last place I'll be getting a job. If you see me selling the programme, you know what's happening.
What do you want, sir?
Yeah. I am aware it's 2:30, so we probably better get out to Charlton and just chat about what. But
let me just say, the club, there's lots of things that the club could be doing to draw the fans back. There's too many incidents that happened, and then it was too blasé.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, let's go back to blue. You all come.
Never find the club's marketing thing too impressive or
it could be improved. That's what
it could. There's room for improvement.
I think the good sign is on the positive is they are willing to listen. You know, Ken Chew, Mehmet Dalman have said we will listen.
I think these are good
any
people,
suggestions you got.
Oh, they will now.
Yeah, indeed, indeed they will now.
A year ago, Chucks, me and you were like, you know,
no,
we were the.
They wouldn't tell us.
We were the devils, mate. We were causing all the problems.
Still, don't cause any problems as
usual. It's our fault.
It was the Bootroom that brought down the fans.
So anyway, let's get on to Charlton. Would you make any changes? Secondly,
I bring Kenwyn back in.
Predictions
for certain. I think I would take. I think I'd revert to type what was working at home before the Wolves and Huddersfield game. I think I'd be tempted to go. I found Noon a bit, like you say, maybe he's kind of like, yes, I'm going to the side. No, I'm not going to the side. No, I'm down. I don't think you could be anything wrong in maybe reverting to type. And the type that saw off Wolves and the type that saw off Huddersfield. I know it didn't work much against them. And then you've got Amiobi. I mean, I've been pushing for him for a start, but unless you fit him in somewhere and work on fitting him in your stuff. At the moment, maybe
him on the left.
Well, I've said that. I've said that. I'm not. Could he play behind Kenwyn Jones? I don't know. Or is that all too much of a muchness? And then you've got Mason to deal with whoever he tells me.
But I'd like.
And then what you
keep
do
Mason? I'd want to keep.
Yeah,
Mason
well, exactly.
He gives goals as well.
I can't get past how much damage Amiobi plays when he plays down the wing. Just, you know,
I would go Amiobi, and I've said I would go Amiobi, big man up front, and Pilkington or Noon on the right, whoever's in better form.
Where does that leave Joe Rowles?
And then I'd play. Well, I would play probably play a back three. I've always said.
Right.
So we don't want to.
Let's not overstretch Slaves.
Assuming he makes the changes you say, then Tex, is that a team that would beat Charlton?
I think so. I think it's more than capable of doing.
Charlton had a poor result on the weekend as well. So
I think it's the kind of I've got crikey. If they're going to do anything, I know it's early in the season, blah blah. I think you've got to be beating Charlton at home.
Without a must-wins.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Hey, hang on. Don't put words worse than don't. I'm just saying. If you're going to be top 6, top whatever, you beat Charlton at home.
So will they?
It's not must win. Sorry.
Will they?
I'll go for 2-1 Cardiff.
Yay!
I'll go for 2-1 Cardiff. Back in there.
Positive. And Blakey, can you beat that?
I'm gonna go with a
draw. Now.
Yeah, I am a 2-2 draw.
Oh wow!
So I think both teams are coming off the
goals.
back of a couple of bad results, and I think 1-1, 2-2, something like that.
Well, let's hope for plenty of entertaining football. Thanks for joining us once more. Hopefully we'll be right back here this time next week, and follow Wales Online for all your Cardiff City coverage.